Hi, my name is Orsolya and I'm one of 14 early-stage researchers in the EU-funded group SimpleSci. We're a group of scientists interested in learning more about synaptic dysfunction in neuropsychiatric disorders. I'm working at the University of Coimbra in Portugal in the group of Professor Annalisa Carvalho. And our group is interested in synaptic function, so how one brain cell can transmit information to the next. And my own project is concerned with discovering how dysfunction in these processes can lead to neuropsychiatric disorders such as intellectual disability and schizophrenia, and we're hoping to learn more about what goes wrong with patients of these diseases.
It's estimated that 78 million people around the world suffer from intellectual disability and 20 million people suffer from schizophrenia. However, exactly what happens in the brain of people suffering from these diseases is not very well known yet. These two diseases share some common symptoms, like cognitive deficit, such as difficulties in learning or memory. Schizophrenia is also associated with what we call negative or positive symptoms. Examples of negative symptoms are a loss of interest in activities that people previously found enjoyable, troubles with speech, or maintaining social connections. Positive symptoms, on the other hand, manifest by delusions or hallucinations. Essentially, imagine having to live while you're not sure whether what you're experiencing is real or not. And there are some medicines available for the positive symptoms of schizophrenia. However, these help only with some aspects of the disease. This is why it's important to learn more about what goes on in the brains of people suffering from these diseases, so that we can find a way to treat all the symptoms. Recently, in 2 patients suffering from intellectual disability and schizophrenia, scientists discovered mutations or modifications in a protein called Stargazing. This means that in these 2 patients, the protein Stargazing had modification that caused its malfunction, as compared to normal Stargazing found in healthy individuals. This protein is very important for the normal functioning of our brain cells, or neurons, specifically for their ability to communicate with each other. Stargazing is present at the communication points between neurons, so if it's not working properly, neurons will not be able to communicate normally. A good communication between neurons is what allows us to think and perceive the world around us. In this project, we will focus on a specific area of the brain, called the prefrontal cortex, which is important for many different cognitive functions, such as working memory, cognitive flexibility, or attention. People suffering from intellectual disability and schizophrenia often have troubles with these cognitive functions. In my study, I will try to understand how important the protein Stargazing is in the prefrontal cortex for the development of intellectual disability and schizophrenia. For this, I will use an animal model. I will compare mice with normal Stargazing with mice which have had this protein deliberately modified. I will examine how the malfunctioning protein affects the functioning of prefrontal cortex neurons in 3 ways. First, I will measure how well the neurons are able to communicate with each other using a technique called electrophysiology. This allows us to record the electrical properties of neurons. Then, through microscopy, I will look at the shape, size, and complexity of these neurons to see whether the mutant Stargazing also causes changes in how these neurons look. Finally, I will perform behavioral tests in our mice to see differences in their cognitive ability, in their memory, how they learn, or how they pay attention. To sum up, I aim to discover how these modifications in Stargazing can lead to intellectual disability and schizophrenia. This understanding will allow the development of new therapies that can help improve the quality of life of people suffering from these diseases.
Thank you for listening. If you're interested in more of our science, be sure to check out our website and more of our SimpleSci videos.